A trench collapse in Lexington killed a worker. What we've learned about that victim.
Another candidate dropping out of the Republican race for president, leaving Donald Trump a clear path to the nomination.
A man accused of killing a 6-year-old goes to court. Why his lawyer says she's never had a case like this.
This is WKYT News at 5.
We are learning more this afternoon about a young man killed on the job.
A trench collapsed on the 22-year-old on Todd's Road near Hayes Boulevard just after 9:30 this morning. Officer Don shot this video as rescuers worked frantically to try and save the man, but they couldn't reach him in time. WKYT Sean Moody shows us what he's learned about the man in our top story at 5.
The Fayette County coroner believes Tyler Williams suffocated underneath all the dirt and gravel that fell on top of him. Now, investigators are trying to figure out why it happened. It happened around 9:40 this morning. Firefighters said Williams was in a trench about 20 feet deep when part of it collapsed onto him. People living nearby heard the sirens and came out to see what was going on.
The fire truck was on scene, and there was people down in the ditch trying to dig the person that's down there out. And the fire department made them get out in fear of the ditch collapsing on them.
By the time rescuers got Williams out from under the dirt and gravel, he was dead.
Sad, he's out trying to make a living like everybody else, and he won't be going home to his family tonight.
Williams was 22, married with 3 children. A family friend said he was, quote, the kindest, sweetest human being, end quote. The assistant fire chief said they were looking into the stability of the soil in the area and that OSHA would also investigate.
I see nothing down there that would lead me to think it had been shored prior to our arrival.
We reached out to the company whose logos appear on this construction equipment. It's the same company that Williams listed as his employer on Facebook. They told me that the only person who can talk to the media is out today. In Lexington, Sean Moody, WKYT.
And the Kentucky Labor Cabinet said they were investigating this case as well. We have showers, even a few storms in the area this afternoon.
All part of a system that's also bringing us some cooler weather. WKYT Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey, well, he doesn't have his winter coat on, but he's getting ready for all this.
You know what? A lot of folks are breaking out the coats yet again today, guys. Those gusty northwesterly winds. We've had the ugly rain, some rumbles of thunder, pea-sized hail being reported in a few spots as well. And early May standards, it's about as ugly as it can get out there. We look into parts of southern Kentucky where those hail-producing thunderstorms are beginning to wind down just a little bit. Still, any shower or thunderstorm that passes through may drop some small hail on top of your neck of the woods. Right on top of the Lake Cumberland area, good folks into Russell Springs, up toward Liberty, Eubank, there in the northern Pulaski County, up across most of Lincoln County. Hello, Lancaster, getting in on some gusty rains, and that's heading into Richmond as well. Lexington Metro, a couple of little cells around the Versailles area, just to the northwest. That did produce a little small hail in the capital city a few minutes ago. Lexington kind of in between systems. Here's a thunderstorm we were tracking just to the northeast of the station. That is now along and north of I-64. There you see Winchester toward the Wyandotte area up toward Stony Point into southern sections of Bourbon County. Maybe some pea-sized hail. Eastern Kentucky, general run-of-the-mill light rains working on through with that big bowling ball looking low pressure center that is just spinning away across the Great Lakes, guys. That does not have a May look to it at all as it works its way through the area. That is giving us today's ugly weather, and it's going to give us another round of ugly for the day tomorrow. But what about the weekend? It's Kentucky Derby and Mother's Day weekend all wrapped into one, and we've got you covered with a forecast when I come back in less than 10 minutes.
The last of Donald Trump's opponents has dropped out of the presidential race.
Ohio Governor John Kasich is ending his campaign, clearing Trump's path to the GOP nomination. Greg Boswell begins our campaign 2016 coverage with what a potential Trump-Hillary Clinton matchup this fall would look like.
The path is now clear for Donald Trump to be the Republican presidential nominee. CBS News can confirm that Ohio Governor John Kasich will officially suspend his campaign today. The move comes less than 24 hours after Ted Cruz dropped out of the race.
We are suspending our campaign.
Now the hard work begins as Donald Trump attempts to unify a fractured Republican Party.
Because we want to bring unity to the Republican Party. We have to bring unity.
90% of Republicans say their party is divided, and nearly half say it can't be put back together.
I would be lying to you all if I said, okay, this is going to be easy, we're just going to pivot.
But if there's one person who can get Republicans on the same page, it's the likely Democratic nominee, Hillary Clinton.
We're going after Hillary Clinton.
I said, really? It's not like I haven't been dealing with that for 25 years.
Professor Michael Cornfield teaches campaign rhetoric at George Washington University and says Clinton will be ready.
What would Donald Trump's attacks be?
He'll throw everything at her, but she's very good when she's under attack.
A new poll shows Clinton would head into the matchup with a 13-point lead over Donald Trump. Craig Boswell, CBS News, Washington.
Hillary Clinton has won about 92% of the delegates needed to clinch the Democratic nomination, but her opponent, Bernie Sanders, says he is staying in the race until the end.
Sanders visited Louisville yesterday, and tonight he's right here in Lexington. Our Garrett Weimer's live at Heritage Hall, where Sanders will rally supporters in just a couple of hours. Garrett?
Well, the crowd has been filing in here at the Lexington Center as folks get ready for Bernie Sanders' rally in Lexington this evening. Now, Sanders rallied in Louisville yesterday. Now, fresh off a primary win in Indiana, he's back in the bluegrass and here in Lexington, expected to touch on the economy, Social Security, health care, and free tuition for college, all issues that are the hallmark of his campaign. Now, Sanders rallied earlier today in Bowling Green, where he said he looks forward to the upcoming primaries.
Most people thought we could not win in Indiana, but we won. And now we're moving to West Virginia and Kentucky and Oregon, and you know what? We got an excellent chance to win all of those states.
Now, supporters continue to come inside Heritage Hall here. It's quickly filling up and also quickly getting warmer as everyone waits for Senator Sanders. Live in Lexington, Garrett Weimer, WKYT.
Garrett, thank you. Bernie Sanders will visit West Virginia on Thursday. Donald Trump has a campaign rally scheduled for Thursday in West Virginia as well.
A man accused of killing a 6-year-old returned to court this morning. The hearing comes just 2 days after Ronald Exantis was brought back to the Woodford County Jail following psychiatric treatment. WKYT's Mark Barber shows us the role Exantis' mental state is playing in the case.
Ronald Exantis' attorney says she has been working for 30 years, and she has never seen a case like this where there's just no explanation for what happened. She tells me that he had a psychotic break and does not remember anything. The 32-year-old was booked back into the Woodford County Detention Center 2 days ago after spending the past few months in a state psychiatric hospital. Exantis' attorney says doctors kept him there much longer than they normally keep patients because it took them weeks to snap him out of psychosis. According to his attorney, Exantis is now heavily medicated and mentally stable. The Indiana man was arrested 5 months ago after police say he broke into a home in Versailles and stabbed a sleeping 6-year-old boy to death. Logan Tipton's family filled 2 rows in the courtroom this morning, wearing the young football player's jersey number. The judge pushed attorneys to set another date in the case next month, saying he does not want the high-profile case to last any longer than necessary. The state's psychiatric evaluation of Exantis is due on June 1st, which is when the 32-year-old will be back in court. The evaluation will be used to determine if he is competent to stand trial. In Woodford County, Mark Barber, WKYT.
Exantis could face the death penalty if he is found guilty of murder. His attorney thinks it will be at least another year before the case could go to trial. Attorney General Andy Beshear says his office is pursuing state charges against Timothy Longmire. Longmire resigned his post as Deputy Attorney General under Beshear in March after he was charged with federal crimes. Longmire pled guilty to taking kickbacks while he served as Secretary of the State Personnel Cabinet under former Governor Steve Beshear.
In the end, the Office of Attorney General does not tolerate corruption, and we do our job. We are going to charge anyone across the Commonwealth who engages in corruption, regardless of where they live or work, even if they used to work right down the hall.
Andy Beshear says he expects to file state charges soon.
The trial for a man accused in a woman's murder will be moved. Our county-by-county coverage begins in Montgomery County. Lonnie Martin is charged with murder in the 2013 death of Kyla Klein. The Commonwealth's attorney tells us the trial will begin in June 6th in Rowan County. Martin is also charged with murdering his cousin in Clark County back in 1995. One man is dead in a Whitley County ATV crash. It happened last night on Black Oak Road. The sheriff's office says 43-year-old Tracy Davenport crashed the ATV and died at the scene. Deputies say they believe speed played a role in the crash.
Thousands braved a rainy afternoon to hear Franklin Graham in a prayer rally in the state capitol.
Deaths from medical errors are on the rise. We take a look at the problem and how you can protect yourself in better living.
The average teenager sends over 100 text messages a day. But does your son or daughter know how easy it is for their texts to come back to haunt them? The side of texting you rarely think about. Thursday at 6 on WKYT.
Clients come into the office. The government has said, no, I don't believe you. You're not disabled.
The major problem with Social Security disability is that most people who sign up are denied at the initial level. If your claim's denied, don't give up. Call us immediately. We'll appeal your case.
We can do an effective job of representing you that will get you the benefits that you deserve.
Call Morgan, Collins, and Yeast, 1-800-55-WILDCAT.
Step right up for something fun. For just $1, the excitement's begun. The game's called Keno, and you can play it in an alley. Or you can play it with your best friend, Sally. You can play it here or there. You can play it almost anywhere. Play with many numbers or just a few. How you play is all up to you. You can put down a little or put down a lot. So what do you say? Give Keno a shot. Just pick your numbers and hope you win, and a few minutes later, you can play it again. Now you can play Keno wherever Kentucky Lottery games are sold, fueling imagination, funding education.
Make time this spring to escape to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where the only thing you'll want to do is have fun in the sun. Let the sound of the ocean's tide take all your cares away and leave you refreshed to experience something new. It's your moment to let go and unwind on Myrtle Beach Time.
Let go and unwind on Myrtle Beach Time.
Treat your family tonight to Fazoli's Baked Spaghetti. For a limited time, this Fazoli's favorite is only $4.99. Spaghetti with marinara sauce topped with our special blend of cheeses and baked to perfection. Hurry in before the $4.99 baked spaghetti is gone.
Fazoli's. Fast, quality, affordable. When it comes to kitchen cabinets, most showrooms offer only 2 of these options. But at Lexington Express Cabinets, you'll get fast delivery, quality selection, and affordable warehouse prices. Call or click today to see why Lexington Express does cabinets for less.
Yes. 2,400,053 grains of sand. Exactly 2 hours for Steak and Shake's half-price happier hour. We'll never miss half-price hand-dipped milkshakes again.
But Master, happier hours from 2 to 5 now.
Pardon me?
They added an hour.
Great, I've lost count.
Happy hour just got happier. Get half-price shakes now from 2 to 5 at Steak and Shake.
Get WKYT news and weather updates on 104.5 The Cat. Now, your hour-by-hour forecast with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey.
It is ugly across the Bluegrass State. We've had wind, we've had some sun early in the day, but taking center stage, the showers, thunderstorms, and the chilly temperatures. Look at the current numbers into the low and mid 50s for many areas. Moorhead 52, 51 degrees. Are you kidding me? Into the afternoon here into Maysville. Tomorrow could be very similar to what we're seeing out there now. What are we seeing? Well, it's mostly cloudy. We've got showers, we've got some thunderstorms, a little fog there into Jackson. We look toward the Lexington Bluegrass region, a little hail-producing shower and thunderstorm action to our south. Had some peace highs held across Frankfort and not too far away from the Louisville area earlier. Here's your Defender Radar Network, and as advertised for the past few days, some small hail-producing storms are out there. A stronger storm heading toward parts of the Lake Cumberland area, another little cell that isn't too far away from Lancaster as of now. Liberty, Casey County, toward the Dunnville area, Russell Springs, heading over toward Eubank and Somerset. Watch out, a little small hail, a possibility, and that extends into parts of Lincoln County. Here's the Lancaster storm system, or storm, that is off to our south and southeast. Berea up toward Richmond getting in on a little bit of action, but downtown Richmond right now, worst of the weather is just off to our south and to the east of the Lake Reba area. How about the Lexington Metro? A little shower that may have some pea-sized hail with it on top of ourselves, and this little teeny tiny thunderstorm that is working out of the southern parts of Anderson County to the north of Harrodsburg will likely have a little bit of pea-sized hail. Additional action from Fleming County back into Montgomery and Clark counties with some showers, thunderstorms here. Small hail right on top of 64 where it meets the Mountain Parkway, and then southeastbound we'll see those showers and storms cranking up. General lighter rain, southern and eastern Kentucky, not going to cause any additional flooding problems compared to what we've seen over the past several days, but that big upper level low that doesn't look like something you'd be seeing in the first week of May. And boy, if you're a winter weather lover, this type of stuff around here in December, January, or February would be producing some cold and snow. As it stands now, it's just ugly. How about your Oaks Day? Mainly dry, milder, showers across the far east. Derby Day, upper 70s, could be some thunderstorms into town second half of the day. And Mom's Big Day, we've got some showers and storms. And to get there, we go through another ugly day tomorrow with temperatures that will be into the 50s. Some of us could actually start out tomorrow with upper 30s showing up. Keep the umbrellas tomorrow. Rains come at us from the northeast. That's right, rains come at us in kind of an awkward fashion. 69, small threat for a leftover shower, southern and eastern Kentucky early in the day on Friday. Late day shower thunderstorm for Derby Day, hopefully. That'll hold off until dark. And then Mom's Day, wish I had some better news, at least some scattered storms around, kicking off another stormy setup.
So your driest day looks like Friday, Oaks Day?
Friday's the driest day as of now. And even there, eastern Kentucky, I think you're going to be in the clouds and at least some leftover showers first half of the day.
You happy about that?
I am happy about that.
In Louisville, it looks good.
Awesome.
All right, you're good. You're
Although
golden.
I wish Derby Day could be really nice too for folks as well.
For the most part, it is. Just watch those late day storms.
Thanks, Chris.
Police are working at least 3 collisions right now. One is at Nicholasville and Lowry that still has a lane blocked in that area. There's also a crash at Tates Creek and Cooper that police are clearing up, and they've cleared the one downtown on Oliver Lewis Way, so we're okay there. Just made a pass over Nicholasville Road. By the way, outbound Nicholasville pass Manowar to Brannon looks okay, so normal drive time is there, no major issues. At the Rochelle's US 60 looks good across the county line. Now back to the studio.
The son of a popular evangelist visited Kentucky today to pray with thousands of people. His message ahead.
And scammers have been making hundreds of calls to try and take advantage of Central Kentuckians. What you need to watch out for on WKYT News at 5:30.
This week on Wheel.
Wheels celebrating Seattle.
From our Emerald City-inspired studio to our very own VIP tour. Be a part of the sights, the sounds, and all the fun.
Wheel of Fortune, tonight at 7 on WKYT.
We're cleaning out and clearing out. P-Rat Spring Clearance Event is back with up to half off. 0 interest till 2018 with no money down. Savings as good as up to 3 times the state sales tax break. Don't miss it.
Nobody beats P-Rats.
If I could build a friend, I'd fill her with qualities on which I can depend, like patience, understanding. She's there when I need her. My best friend yet.
Show Mom you care with a gift from Kroger.
Treat Mom to a dozen private selection roses for just $10. And first of the season sweet red cherries are $3.99 a pound. Happy Mother's Day from Kroger.
Kentucky Lottery jackpot sequence has been initiated. Prepare for current jackpot amount.
Wednesday's Powerball jackpot is $348 million.
Dawn?
Ned.
Trump?
Cruz.
Congress.
Mike Pape. You?
Yeah, Mike Pape. Unlike James Comer, who refuses to repeal Obamacare, Mike Pape will repeal Obamacare.
And unlike Comer, who's for Obama's amnesty, Mike Pape is against amnesty and will build the wall.
Mike Pape is a trusted conservative.
He'll make America great again.
I'm Mike Pape, and I approve this message.
Are you tired of juggling your finances and can't afford those remodeling projects?
Surplus Sales has a huge selection of carpet at unbeatable prices.
Come on down to Surplus Sales for some great deals.
The new Royal Blizzard is a blizzard breakthrough. But what's the science behind the fudge suspended inside?
Let's begin.
Cross teleportation.
Uh-oh.
Centrifugal force?
It's not working.
Liquid nitrogen? Lasers?
Guys, I actually filled the blizzard with fudge.
Science! Experience the all-new Royal Blizzard lineup, like the Royal Oreo filled with a vortex of creamy fudge for a blizzard breakthrough. This is fan food, not fast food.
Who is Lexington Blue? I know. Do you? Check them out on Facebook.
P-Rat Spring Clearance Event is back, and this Mocha sofa is just $5.99, plus get the matching love seat free. 32-inch LED TV, $199, plus savings as good as up to 3 times the state sales tax rate.
Nobody beats P-Rats.
They inspire, they guide, they teach. It's the Jeopardy Teachers Tournament, presented by Farmers Insurance. Watch this week to see who goes to Washington, D.C. for the final rounds.
Jeopardy! Tonight at 7:30 on WKYT. Keep up with the latest news on WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
A new report detailing what happened in the hours leading up to Prince's death. This as the DEA now says it's getting into the investigation. The Minneapolis Star-Tribune reports the night before Prince's death, representatives contacted a California doctor known for treating opioid addiction, and the doctor, Howard Kornfeld, could not clear his schedule. So he sent his son, Andrew, to Minnesota to meet with Prince. A lawyer for both men says that staff members found Prince unresponsive shortly after Andrew Kornfeld arrived at Prince's home.
One of the staff members started screaming. Andrew heard the screams and went to the elevator where he saw that Prince was unconscious. Andrew was the person to make the 911 call.
Andrew Kornfeld had a drug on him given to patients with addiction issues. His attorney says he planned to give the drug to a doctor who was going to evaluate Prince.
President Obama visited Flint, Michigan today to assure people there that the government won't rest until their water is safe. The president showed his support by drinking city water to show it's good for consumption. Flint's water became contaminated with lead after the city started drawing water from the Flint River and didn't treat it properly. He calls it a campaign for God. Today, the son of well-known evangelist Billy Graham brought his Decision America tour to Frankfurt.
Officer Don Evans shot this video of the thousands of people who showed up to hear Franklin Graham speak and pray for our nation's leaders. WKYT's Phil Pendleton talked to Graham about the message he's spreading across this country.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
They began arriving hours before it began, and by noon there was no room left for anyone on the state capitol steps. So they gathered wherever they could just to hear Franklin Graham. He says this country is in trouble.
And there's no political party that's going to turn this thing around.
He says he has no hope in Republicans or Democrats.
The only hope for the United States of America is Almighty God.
In Jesus' holy name.
Graham's tour is planning to touch all 50 states.
Every place we have been, I've always been amazed. And to think that here in Frankfort, Kentucky, that this many people would come with the storm clouds coming. Everybody knows the rain was coming.
Franklin Graham says there is a very powerful reason why so many people came here today. He says it's not politics because he's not voicing support for any one of the presidential candidates.
All across this country, people are fed up, and we're seeing it right here in Kentucky. People are fed up, and they realize that the only hope is God.
Graham called on many in the crowd to consider running for office, even down to city council or school board. But he says he's not interested in jumping in the big political ring.
Why don't you want to run? Because I wouldn't be able to do this if I was doing that. We give God the glory.
He says he's calling on people to pray on their Capitol steps and then go back to their communities to make a difference. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
The Decision America tour will be in West Virginia tomorrow. As concern grows over the Zika virus, the Lexington-Fayette County Health Department is launching a plan to fight mosquitoes. We'll show you how that works on WKYT News at 5:30.
Medical errors have become the third leading cause of death in the U.S. What you can do to protect yourself and your family in better living.
Get WKYT News and weather updates on Wild 103.9.
When you're building your dream house, you want to make sure you're doing it right. It's a big job. But the Touchstone Energy Home Program can show you how to make your new place energy efficient, economical, and comfortable. We'll help you put together the home of your dreams while you save up to 30% in energy costs. You can even qualify for a rebate from your local energy cooperatives. It's easier than you think. So talk to us today about your dream home of tomorrow. Intercounty Energy and Fleming Mason Energy, your Touchstone Energy cooperatives.
Can you help me figure out what to plant in my front yard to help our curb appeal?
Sorry, I just started working here last week, so I'm not sure. Hey, can you help her find some plants?
Sorry, kid. I work in the plumbing department.
Can you help me figure out what to plant to help our curb appeal?
Piece of cake. First, you need a few dwarf boxwoods over there. Supplement those with a crate. Take your curb appeal to the next level. At King's Gardens, we share your passion for plants.
When you play Kentucky lottery games like 5-Card Cash, college students all over Kentucky are dealt a winning hand.
Fueling imagination.
Funding education.
It's another Kentucky Ale Thirsty Thursday and Pepsi Bark in the Park at the Legends game. Bring your dog to the game and enjoy dollar drinks all night long. Check out LexingtonLegends.com for all the tickets, promos, and snashtastic fun you can have at a Legends game.
When Dad died, Jim came home from college to help save the family business. Jim made a real difference. We grew Gray Construction from $1 million business to over $1 billion in sales a year. We built over 900 projects and helped create over 20,000 jobs in Kentucky. I'm Jim Gray, and I sponsored this ad because Washington could use Jim's business sense and some good Kentucky common sense to get things done.
Jim Gray, Kentucky first. Someone else can get them dressed. Someone else can push the swing. Someone else can fix their lunch. Someone else can tuck them in. But they don't want someone else. They want you. Get checked for breast and cervical cancer. For information on free screenings, call 1-844-249-0708.
Don't sit on the sidelines this Triple Crown season. Bet the Derby legally with TVG.com. Watch and wager on live horse racing. TVG. Sign up for free and enter promo code DERBY. Bet your first deposit and we'll match it up to $150. Get in on the action before it's too late. That's promo code DERBY. Bet your first deposit and we'll match it up to $150. TVG. Victory starts here.
Who is Lexington Blue? You still don't know? Check them out on Facebook.
It is time now for better living, health, education, and consumer news that impacts your life. It is the third leading cause of death in the U.S., but it's not a disease or a condition. Kenneth Craig shows us what it is and how you can protect yourself.
A new study suggests that medical errors are now the third leading cause of death in the United States, behind heart disease and cancer.
The impact on patients is significant.
Dr. Martin McCary of Johns Hopkins School of Medicine says those mistakes lead to 250,000 deaths each year.
By medical error, we're referring to patients falling through the cracks, a fragmented healthcare system, diagnostic errors, medication dosing errors, and preventable complications.
Researchers say most medical errors aren't due to bad doctors. They say system-wide failures are responsible for putting patients at risk.
Doctors urge patients be informed about their medical care. Ask about any medication prescribed for you and any alternative treatment options. Read up on complications and get a second opinion.
Doctors have been developing ways to deliver care more safely. The problem is they are up against tremendous barriers.
Those obstacles include underfunded research and a lack of hospital resources. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, New York.
Deaths from medical errors are not included in national statistics because of a flaw that relies on billing codes to compile the list of most common causes of death in the U.S. You have heard it before, constant sitting isn't good for your health. If you sit at work, standing up periodically can help your body. You won't lose weight or change your shape, but doctors say you could gain muscle, which helps your long-term health.
This showed that, in fact, they built muscle mass over that period of time. They didn't lose weight, but they did build more muscle and lost a little fat. So those are good things for our long-term health.
There are desks that rise to standing position, but if you can't get one, stacking books under your monitor and keyboard have the same effect. Sitting on an exercise ball instead of a chair can encourage movement as well. Now, here's what's coming up for you at 5:30.